Hey everybody, Brett from AstartesGaming here, back with another episode of our Hearts of Iron 4 Let's Play. There's quite a few people at my house right now, so I've done my best to soundproof my room, but if there's a little bit of chatter in the background, that is what you would be hearing. So anywho, in the last episode, we found ourselves right on the cusp of war. We're at 9% of the 10% that we need in order to justify a war goal. Of course, we're going to be going after Czechoslovakia. But we're right there. We're right there. So the next event that happens will push us over the edge and we'll be able to declare war. In the meantime, we're gearing up along our southern border as best we can. You can see that we have quite a few divisions all along the border there. I'm trying to basically do a mountain division and 3 infantry for each little province bordering Czechoslovakia. And you can see that for the most part, they don't have a whole lot to counter it. I'm sure they have more divisions in reserve that we can't see. But along the border, they don't have a whole lot. And so as soon as this war kicks off, we're going to try to jump out to an early start and push straight in. You can see that they do have some mountains that are going to make this a little bit difficult for us. But, you know, that's why we have the mountain divisions. And we're trying to produce more. We are currently not too far out from, it looks like, getting another infantry and mountain division. And then we've got another infantry division a little bit more a little bit further off. In terms of research, we are really focusing on industry. We're going to try to make some synthetic oil and rubber so that we don't need to rely on trading to get that stuff, and that means that we'll have more civilian factories to use for, you know, our own needs. Dispersed industry is going to increase our overall factory output as well as make us a little bit less susceptible to being bombed, which is going to be important because we don't really have any fighters or anything to counter anything like that at the moment. And then we are working on our first modern tank. Modern as in the times of this game, not as in modern. But currently we're only able to roll out World War I style tanks, so this is going to be our first World War II era tank. It is a light tank, but any armor will do at this point. And our national focus, we are preparing for the next war. We've already gotten Polish revanchism done, and that is the one that we needed, of course, to get us to be able to justify wars at 10%. So we're pretty much ready to go. It's just a matter of somebody bumping this this world tension up to 10%. So with that, let's get the clock running and see what happens. We don't have a whole lot to do in terms of management right now. It's just sort of a wait and see type situation. I am going to try to get some more infantry down here. Not that we need a bunch, I just want to make sure that we have every single province with something in it, because I want to be able to basically push in. The Western Army is going to be pushing west, as you might expect, after they go down. So I'm basically going to try to secure this chunk. I'm going to send them in and then left. These guys are going to do the same thing, but in a little bit more of a sweeping pattern. So they're going to come in and push down and then cut. So basically these guys are going to secure everything here while these guys take that end, and we'll try to sort of meet in the middle. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, it's really just a waiting game. We do have some army experience, so if we wanted to, we could maybe look at upgrading some of our divisions. The issue being that there's not a whole lot we can do in terms of editing these. I could try to give the mountain divisions some artillery, for example, but my concern is one of their advantages is that they can kind of get into places that, you know, other divisions can't and be useful there. If we make them too reliant on things like fuel and you know, whatever else, we have unassigned divisions. So our infantry is done. Does that mean the mountain finished as well? No, but it almost has. Okay, so you guys are going to head on over to here, and you're going to join the Eastern Army. And let's see, we need to rename them as well. I believe we are at the 31st, so you guys are going to be the 32nd Infantry Division. Cool. And back to the clock running. Oh good, synthetic oil just finished. So, whoops, wrong tab. Let's go ahead and grab another research. Let's see, 117. That would get us to level 2 synthetic refineries. I don't think we need that this early. But there's no downside to taking that right now, just we wouldn't be able to obviously research something else. But that's 117 days is not bad. Improved machine tools wouldn't be bad either. that would make our production a little bit better, or allow it to be better. It's not going to necessarily do anything on its own, but it raises the cap so that they can continue to progress further than they normally would. We also have engineering. Computing is going to give me a -3 research time, -3% research time, which would drop us to, I think, a total of -15, which isn't too bad. I like the way that the percentages in this game are additive. So the way percentages work is kind of deceptive. If you take, like, say -3% of, 100, then you're dealing with 97%. And if you take -3 of that again, that's not 94%. It would be something like 95 or whatever, because you're taking 3% of that smaller number. But in this game, they're all additive, so you basically just keep adding the percentages together, and they build up a lot more quickly that way. So, radio detection. That's not a bad idea, but even if we detect planes and whatnot, there's nothing we can do about them, so maybe not the most necessary. I'm not sure what we need at the moment. Planes would be great, but we can't really produce them. But just like a basic modern fighter would be really, really useful. 176 is quite a bit of time, though. And again, I don't currently have... You know what? I could probably, if we get a refinery built, I could probably get the stuff I need to start producing these. And that's pretty important, so let's start working on a modern fighter to protect this guys. Actually, you know what? No. I'll wait for this one to finish and do the fighter there. Let's instead get a head start on something over here. I think I am going to do... Construction 2 is really tempting. I like to be able to build things fast, and we're going to need to be able to build land fortifications and factories, so I think I'm going to go with this. Yeah. And we'll wait until this finishes to grab the fighter. Okay. So you guys are moving. Let's see. Where is that mountain division? It's not quite ready. It's almost there. But we're going to start putting down another 3 divisions here or so. Remember, we can have up to 4 in each province before we start losing efficiency. So we want to have, 4 in every single one if we can. Alright, I said I would do the fighter, so let's go ahead and do that. And right here, they do have mountains. So the next mountain division we get, we're probably going to drop in here with the Eastern Army and let them, take care of this. It's cavalry, so they're going to be pretty easy to get off that spot versus, like, the mountain and infantry divisions. Infantry particularly is going to be difficult to get rid of, but mountain as well, especially in, rougher terrain. Cavalry, though, is not very defensive, so I don't think we'll have too much trouble with them, but we'll certainly see. Okay, so there's the new mountain division. Let's get them right where I said. We'll push them on down there. And, of course, we'll add them to the Eastern Army. And we got to figure out what to name these guys. I think we were on... I honestly don't remember. Let's take a look at this one. The problem is I've got like 2 different naming conventions for the mountain division, so it's kind of difficult to keep track of. So I've got 1 and 2. I think they're probably just 3 because all the other mountain divisions we have are like high numbers and they're named differently. So I think we have, 1 and 2, and then the Eastern Army. I don't think there's a 3, so you guys are 3. There we go. Okay. Also, one thing I forgot to look at is we finished researching weapons. I don't recall which weapons, but I'm pretty sure we finished researching some weapons not that long ago. I believe it was these. So I want to make sure that we're producing the right weapons, because we could be producing like ancient stuff right now and not even realize. So let's see. Infantry equipment 1, yeah. Support equipment, okay. So no, I guess that just gives us flat bonuses and doesn't change the equipment at all. That's good to know. So I imagine this researching, well, probably this one. I don't think this looks like it's just more bonuses. So when we research this, we'll have to start producing new weapons. which is important to keep in mind, because if we keep cranking out the old stuff, then that research will have been for nothing. So we just finished 2 divisions there. And it's going to be a long... Well, actually, it's not going to be too long before we see another. And we'll keep adding them over here, as I said. Actually, maybe... I don't know, somewhere in the Eastern Army. We're going to try to catch them up. So, yeah, they've got a lot of cavalry, which is sort of an interesting choice. Cavalry, as far as I know, is not that great. Let's actually look at, like, maybe ours, and we'll compare it. So, what I'm concerned with is, like, soft attack, so 18.6, and then defense, 78.3. Okay. And an infantry is going to be 105 and 216. So, infantry is going to be far superior in holding ground. The cavalry is not going to do a whole lot for them in terms of trying to stop us here. It will still give us a little bit of a run for our money just because of the terrain it's on, but with those stats versus far superior numbers of infantry, I don't think they have much of a chance. Oh no, 8%. We're so close. I mean, we know something's going to happen. It's just a matter of what time this year. And I'm really hoping again that it's not Germany annexing you know, the western part of Czechoslovakia, because that could really, really set us back. Or do they get the whole thing? I don't remember. I don't remember if they annex the whole thing. I think they start with this part, and then eventually they take the whole thing. Because if you play, like, if you play the World War I mod or any World War I game, the German Empire during that time, I think, expands all the way out to here anyway. So I think this whole chunk is basically part of Germany at one point, and I think it becomes it again. But it's been a while since I've played a Hearts of Iron game all the way through, so I'm a bit rusty on the you know, geopolitical layouts of the map. So we get to modify our government again, and the question becomes, what do we want to take? Unfortunately, we just missed grabbing an aircraft designer. This would have sped things up pretty considerably. I'm wondering if I can, like, change... Like, how far along are you? Pretty far along, actually. Yeah. I'm wondering if I can, like, reset this and use the added bonuses from this, because not only does this research faster, we would probably do light aircraft. Not only does this research faster, but it gives it added agility and speed. But that's only for, I think it's only if we research it with this. Huh. I'm gonna try it. I could completely shoot myself in the foot here, but it's only been like 30-ish days, so we're not losing a ton of time if I completely screw this up. Let's grab a national focus while we're at it. Infantry weapons. It's actually going to be a while before we need to do infantry weapons, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be one of these 2 researches, and they're both not going to be necessary until next year. Yeah. We would be taking a pretty severe penalty by researching them this early, so it'd be 38, and it's only going to take us roughly 2 months to finish a national focus, so that's a lot earlier than we need that. A land doctrine wouldn't be a terrible idea. We could also focus on, like, that would be smart. I'm trying to, like, figure out where I want to be doing this stuff. If I take another construction, it would be here, and that would cut it in half, so that would drop it to like 60 days, which isn't too bad. But I don't want to do... Maybe I should do that now. Yeah, let's get it out of the way. I'm going to do the 4-year plan, and then we'll go to National Defense Fund. That'll get me another free factory. That'll give me a military factory. So yeah, let's take all the free factories we can. Alright. And I wanted to tweak this. So I think I'm just going to change it to like anything else and then change it back. Or do I even need to? I'm curious. What does it say the same thing now? No, it actually did shorten the time. Okay, so it applies retroactively. That's good to know. Good to know. So that wasn't a total, like, disaster. Another unassigned infantry division. Let's go ahead and add them to the Eastern Army. And these guys, I believe, are the 33rd? Yeah. So we'll just swap that period for another 3. And then we're going to send them to... probably here. I'm going to try to get at least 3 in every single one of these, and then we'll try to build them all up to 4. And meanwhile, we need to spend some of this army experience. I'm just not sure on what. Because I don't really need to mess around with my divisions. We can, again, look at like changing up the mountain division a bit. I'm just not sure that adding artillery for them is a good idea. Because artillery is going to boost their defense by 10, but a mountain brigade does 22 defense. How much breakthrough does this give? +6 versus, okay, so like +4. So it's slightly better. Obviously, the big thing here is soft attack, which is pretty nice. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, because we could do the same thing we did with our infantry divisions and swap out 2 mountain for, hold on, public call for elections. So we basically get a choice here. We can try to fight it, or we can go with it. And this is basically going to secure us becoming a democracy versus this where we fight it and it probably ends up happening anyways. So, you know, if you weren't trying to do this, this is the one that you would choose, and maybe you could stave it off. But since we are trying to, I'm going to take the political power hit and let the people be heard. But yeah, so if I'm not mistaken, let's see, combat width is 18. We want that to be a nice even 20, and each one of these is worth 2. So if we get rid of 2 of these, we can replace them with 2 artillery, and that would put us right at 20. It would boost our soft attack, but it would hurt our defense. And I'm not sure whether or not that's advantageous for mountaineers. So you guys will have to let me know what you think about that, but I'm sort of for it. We are going to use these as breakthrough units until we have armor, so I think it could be a good idea, but at the same time, then we have to worry about producing enough artillery, not only for our infantry, but for our mountain divisions as well. And that could be a bad thing. So definitely feel free to weigh in on that in the comments. I like hearing what you guys have to say, because again, I'm not new to Hearts of Iron, but I'm new to Hearts of Iron 4, and so I don't know effective strategies in this game all that well. And you guys are helping me learn those, so any advice you have is always helpful. Another, oh, research done. The tank, sweet. Alright, so I don't think we need any more tank research for a while. Technically this is still dated. This is the modern tank. And as much as I would love to just have like the best tanks available, I don't think I'm going to bother with that quite yet. Before we go to war though, I would really like to have that. I don't think that's realistic, but we should at least try to get it by the end of the year. However, what I'd like to do first is get another 150 political power that I can spend on a tank designer. So this will lower that research time and add reliability to the tank, which is, it's nice. I'm more concerned with the research time. But I'd like to get that before we take that research. That'll cut the time down a little bit and make that a little bit easier of a pill to swallow in terms of research time. But for now, we get 50% quicker land doctrine research. So I think I'm going to take advantage of that right now. And I wanted to do superior firepower. So I might go ahead and do that. But I'm almost tempted to just stick with this since we're already a little bit further down this tree. Well, we're one further down. Because this is going to give us more defensive bonuses sooner, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so all infantry is plus 10%, which is pretty nice. Whereas with this one, it's going to give me more soft attack, which would help against like the Czechs, for example, but not against the Germans. Well, it would help against anybody, but when we're on the defensive, obviously, entrenchment is going to be pretty useful. This is just going to give us organization, and this is going to give us plus 20 defense. So let's see. I figure we can probably have, before we have to face Germany, let's say we can maybe get 3 of them done. That might only be 2 over here, but, you know, who knows. So if it were this one, we would get 20 attack and 10 organization. If it's this one, we're going to have 30 planning, 10 defense, 10 organization. And what we already have here. So entrenchment and entrenchment speed. And then this would give us breakthrough and soft attack. So I'm almost wondering if it's better to just stick with this one. I don't know. I like superior firepower. I've had good success with it in what few playthroughs I've done in this game, but I think the smarter thing to do here is just stick with what we're already invested in, so we're not backtracking. And so to that end, I'm going to do this. And we'll see whether or not that ends up being a mistake. It doesn't look like we're going to make it to that 10% mark in this episode. I was hoping it would happen soon, because I'm looking forward to actually, you know, fighting a war. This is what this game is, you know, all about. But we have only about 3 minutes left or so, and we're actually down a percentage from where we started. It does slowly decrease, obviously, but every event ticks it up higher, and then it'll decrease a little bit. So it's sort of like a 2 steps forward, 1 step back type thing, although sometimes it's like 10 steps forward, especially when Germany's involved. But it looks like we're going to be coming up dry this episode. Oh, it hung up there for a second. I think it was auto-saving, but... or no, it was just the end of the day. But yeah, I saw the clock hang on 24, and I thought something was triggering. Let's see. So somebody was saying I may as well have my dockyards doing something, even if we don't have the resources. You just put them at the end so that they're not completely wasted. So I'm just going to have them building convoys. And we don't have the steel to do that, but we may as well just have them doing something, even if it's inefficient. And I don't really need a navy for any particular reason. I mean, obviously we can, you know, hit trade routes and stuff, but it would take us quite a few ships to be able to pull that off. And I don't really feel like investing into those. So what I will do instead is I'll just keep adding to this number, because as we need more and more resources, we're going to need more convoys to send out. And, you know, the more the better. So we'll just stick with that. Let's see. So this is about halfway. This is about like 60% or so. I'm looking forward to that finishing. I completely forgot. Are we even constructing anything? Good, we are. What I need to do, though, is I need to throw... Let's see. I'm going to put it probably near... This might be a good area. Like between these 2 rivers, because that's an easier place to defend. So maybe I'll throw it right here. Yeah, we'll build an oil refinery right there, and I'm going to bump that to the front of the line, because that will allow me to cancel a trade when it's done, and that should, I think, build faster than the factory. Construction costs 13,000. No, that's going to take a really long time. Yeah, it's going to take longer than that, but oh well. We need that. So we'll get to it. And I think I'm going to go ahead and end the episode right here, since it has been roughly 25 minutes and nothing seems to be happening. So we did get some research done. We finally have like modern-ish tanks, and our army along the border here is looking pretty solid. It's just a matter of, you know, whenever this pops to allow us to declare war. But that's not happening today. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I had a great time playing some Hearts of Iron 4 with you. And I look forward to seeing you guys back here for the next episode.